So welcome everyone. I'm Joe Weston, and today is September 15th, 2020, and we're here for our global practice for reviving the global heart. And it's, as always, it's great to see familiar faces, and it's always great to see new faces. And for those of you who are new, what we do is I offer some things to think about as a way of setting our motivation, and I lead us in the practice, and afterwards we have a time and a chance to reflect. And I'm just feeling in my heart, as I'm working on reviving my heart for the global heart, just feeling a lot of gratitude right now for some remarkable people in my life and people who are committed to this kind of mission and practice. And to see those of you who come back every week, and I love getting your emails and hearing your stories. And what's been nice is that how we've been supporting one another and sharing in a common vision. And a lot of this is about how can we bring our own creativity into what might be our part in what we have to play on this planet at this moment. Many of you have heard me use the phrase creative social activism, and that we can turn anything we do into an act of social activism, and that and we've always said that there are people who are committed to really going out there, doing more the assertive way of bringing about change and transformation on the planet. And more power to them that they've committed their lives in that way. And some of us aren't wired that way. And unfortunately, we get so caught in a lot of dualities where it's either this or that. It's like, if I'm not out doing that, then that means there's nothing for me to do. And imagine if we just took some time to support one another and getting creative and thinking how much there is we can do. And that the smallest things can have such an incredible impact. What I was reading recently, and I'd never heard this, but Martin Luther King Jr. had the phrase creative altruism. Had anybody ever heard that? I'd never heard that before. And one of the example I always give is working with a client and supporting her and feeling like she wanted to bring more purpose to her life. And that was a desire. She was making enough money. She felt satisfied in a lot of areas, but not feeling enriched within herself and purpose. And a lot of the work I do with clients and with groups is what truly brings you purpose and fulfillment. And for her, it was service in the end. That was for her, that she wanted to feel like, I'm on this planet. I'm grateful for all I have. I feel blessed. I feel privileged. And I feel like there's so much more I can do. And through conversations, it came out that she was really good at needlepoint. And she eventually came up with this idea of calling up a local home for elderly people and said, I could like to come in and volunteer and just sit and needlepoint with people. And she tried it once and they loved it, and she became a regular there. And what she found was that it wasn't so much that she was teaching people needlepoint. It was a fact that she was just present and connected. And she gave people a chance to connect and be present, to be heard, to let their stories be heard, which brought them joy. And that's what she realized was her way, very simple way of offering contribution, of shifting people's lives. And there's many of you in this session right now who are doing that. Someone new who's here, Bhaskar Goswami, and he's committed his life to this, and maybe at some point has something that wants to share, and to hear from all of you with that. But I want to bring that idea is, what is it? So for you to be thinking, if you are coming back on a regular basis, what does reviving the global heart mean to you? So there's a quote that we're using. We're in the process of about to launch our website for the Fierce Civility Project. Yay, Todd. And we've been doing a lot of gathering with people to really look at what's the proper wording for that. And you've heard me talk about fierce civility, and I'll probably be talking more about it. But in a sense, the practice of that is, how do we take our basic instincts of, starting with, as I've said before, the path to compassion and action starts with sympathy, right? There's a sense of, feeling sorry for someone. That doesn't that's just a starting point. Because what you're doing when you have sympathy for someone, in the moment that you're having sympathy for someone, you're not caught up with yourself. That in itself is transformational, is to think about how much time and energy is being devoted to in your thoughts and your words and your actions to others. Sympathy leads to empathy, where you can feel a shared experience in that. Empathy leads to compassion, which is, for me, from a lot of my teachings, just in your heart, the desire to, if someone is struggling, to help them overcome that struggling. Compassion and action is actually that desire becomes so strong you can't do anything but jump out of your seat and do something. And for me, that is what reviving the global heart is. That's when we revive our own hearts. That's when we overcome our own confusion, our own distractions, and I speak for myself, and maybe you have this too, our own apathy, our own feeling helpless or hopeless, our own cynicism, which is so much of the culture right now, and the world system is just is making it hard not to have that. Where do we cultivate the courage and the strength to overcome that, cultivate that fierceness, to be able to say that I may not be able to change it all, but if I can change one thing today, that's one more thing that was changed that wasn't changed yesterday. And it sounds like, yeah, I've heard this a million times. And you have heard this a million times. You maybe read it in Hallmark cards. I always say, like, you read it in quotes, you see it on Facebook, all the quotes. And the question is, what actually gets us to a point of full embodiment of that, where we can't sit still, where we just have to get up and find ways of alleviating our own suffering and the suffering of others, or cultivating our own happiness, the happiness of others. And that, to me, is a devotional practice of service. So this idea of reviving the global heart and the fierce ability is, how do we start bringing that into action? And each one of you can be thinking, and you probably do, and you are already doing those things, of finding creative ways to be of service. And that, as I say, from studying Buddhism and those practices, the definition of love is the desire for someone to be happy and acting on that desire. That's the definition of love. The desire for someone's happiness and acting on that desire. The definition of compassion is the desire to alleviate the suffering of another and acting on that desire. And what I want to add to that in terms of our time is that so much of what we're struggling on this planet right now, where our heart why it needs reviving, where the global heart is stagnant, is an enormous amount of people who don't feel heard, understood, or seen, who feel disenfranchised, who feel disempowered, who don't feel valued. And imagine if that was our commitment, that the practice of reviving the global heart is to devote our lives to allowing people to be heard, understood, or seen. Because what happens, whether you see playing out, this is the way I see it, I'm not saying it's the way it is, but the way I see it is, what leads to violence or what leads to more altercation is just the frustration. I've whispered it, you didn't hear me. I said it a little louder, you didn't hear me. I said it emphatically. I've even sloganized it, so you don't have to even think so much. It's in 4 or 5 words, you're still not hearing it. I'm gonna get louder until you hear it. I'm gonna maybe throw something at you until you hear it. And I'm not advocating that that's right or wrong. I'm saying that we're seeing that play out in so many ways. And my suggestion is to consider that the root cause of that is an enormous amount of people who don't feel they're being represented by their leaders. and who don't feel valued and aren't feeling a sense of, is there anyone out there who really hears me and understands me? So how do we revive the global heart? One, and how can we be of service, is to get present, to connect to others and listen. And you may not like what you hear, but it's a start. And can you stay in that? And then in that, you find that you're creating an environment where somewhere now you can share what your feelings are. And in that, and find common ground. And again, I'm not saying anything that someone else hasn't thought of before, but I'm just bringing this up into the context of the heart. Mahatma Gandhi, one of the quotes that I use often is, "Nonviolence, which is a quality of the heart, cannot come by an appeal to the brain." We're not here to revive the global brain. Brain is functioning okay, and on some level. But this element of our global system at this moment, where does the heart need reviving? Where do our hearts need to be elevated and lifted? And how can, by doing that, how do we contribute to elevating and lifting the global heart? Where everyone does feel valued, everyone, where there's opportunity for all. Where we actually hold the highest values of respect, dignity, and honor. And what if we lived in a world where the only thing that really was worth fighting for was holding on to the integrity of our highest values as human beings? And imagine a world where we were living from a place of service, where that was our motivating force. And I want to just plant that seed, or just, so how can we be creative in this when we're doing this practice? When you get into that space of feeling all human beings in your heart, that's the creative space of what is possible. And I think the most powerful word in the human language is the word imagine. Imagine ... That's where it starts. And I want to just say, to imagine, I've said this to some of you before, imagine a world where we were wired differently, where we were wired to be of service, that was our motivating force. Imagine a world where it was a global ritual. Like we have our rituals of our rite of passage. We have bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, we have communion, we have graduations, various rituals where young people get a sense of, you've now stepped into something larger than yourself, or something larger than a larger you. And what if those rituals, imagine at 13 years old, think of all the money that goes into all of these rituals, right? Imagine that an exciting moment in a family's life is when a child turns 13, that there's a party, like hundreds of people come and there's a big celebration. And that what the ritual is that using the World Wide Web that we're on, that there's an algorithm that's been set up, stick with me, stay with me, that has a database of all human beings on this planet, all people who turn 13, you randomly get someone on this planet. And from that moment on, you are devoted to support them in realizing their highest potential. Imagine. And that it was celebrated, that the name came to you, and that everyone around celebrated, and you actually got to call or internet or something that person for the first time because you never met them, and that you make a commitment to that person. I am here for you at all times. Imagine. Why couldn't that happen? We have the technology. And imagine, and that means that someone who's just turned 13 is going to be doing that for you. Just imagine how that would create this what I call the golden thread of lasting peace, of what we're creating here. And that it's a celebration of, you're now stepping into a sense of your best self, your highest self, because you now are committed to someone in service. And that's, you still have your family and and all of that, but it's a special relationship that's developed. You may never see that person, but it's your intention to support them for as long as they live. What do you think of that? Let's do it. Let's do it. I mean, why not, right? And that level, so, and that, you got to first imagine it. And that comes from the desire of, that would be the proof of a thriving heart, a thriving global heart. Where there's, because again, we talk about if a heart is stagnant, like we are in with this, with polarization, it's a stagnant, it's not flowing, the nutrients aren't flowing. The heart's not vibrating in that. So what can we do to reviving it is thinking of ways that we can just bring ourselves more into action and bring others into action. So I want to share that as a thought. I'd love to hear your thoughts after our practice on this and anything that comes up. So we're going to move now into the part of the session with the practice. So in this practice, I'll be leading you in this, and it's based on, as I've said, a core exercise in the respectful confrontation methodology that I developed. It's a variation on that. So for those of you who are here for the first time, I invite you to sit in a way where your spine is straight without being rigid. Sitting towards the edge of the chair or whatever you're sitting on, so you're not leaning back. We want to keep the spine open, because the essence of this work, how you can find your physical vitality, emotional stability, and mental clarity and spiritual grounding, is to cultivate practices within yourself of presence, awareness, balance, and flow. So this is a way of sitting without being rigid, where you can start feeling that in a clear way. So elongating from the back of your neck so that you're tucking your chin in a little bit, your jaw is relaxed, shoulders are relaxed, belly is relaxed. Finding a place in your lower belly, which we might call your core, your dantian, hara, which is approximately the width of 3 fingers below your navel and 1/3 of the way into the body. So if you want to investigate that, if you put your fingers together, place your index finger over your navel, where your pinky resides, that's approximately the width of 3 fingers below your navel. And bringing your attention inside of your body, about 1/3 of the way into the body from the front of the body. Bringing your full attention to that spot, the width of 3 fingers below your navel, 1/3 of the way into the body. There's no right way to do this practice. There's no wrong way to do it. It's finding your way. And checking in with your core, bringing your full attention to that spot. From your core, your center of awareness, become aware of the parts of your body that are connecting with what you're sitting on. Chair, cushion, connection with the ground. Using these as your contact points in the process of feeling the experience of pressure pressing, gravity bringing you down from these points to the ground or the chair. That communicates through your nervous system up to your brain. You are held. Allow yourself to be held. And checking in with your core as you do this, from the practice of cultivating fierce compassion and resilience. I'm just checking in. One way to maintain a level of resilience is to check in with your core, imagining this is like an energy source, like a battery. How charged is your battery right now? And how can this practice help you charge your battery to help you sustain all of the wonderful, beautiful things you do in your life through any given day? Center of gravity, impulse, creativity, where your personal power resides. Center of awareness. So cultivating that level of deeper listening and awareness from your center, become aware of your physical body. No judgment, simply noticing. All you're doing is listening. Let your body speak to you. What if all the wisdom you need is in your heart and your body? And all you need to do is not increase your wisdom, simply learn how to listen more effectively. Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. All feelings are welcome. From your center, become aware of your emotions, your emotional body. Helping you come into a deeper relationship with the present moment, starting with yourself. From your center, become aware of your thoughts. Not necessarily what are your thoughts, but how are your thoughts, the quality of your thoughts, the rhythm of your thoughts. And really experiencing that from your core, yourself, the part of you that has awareness, how that's different from your thoughts. Maintaining a connection with your core, now bringing awareness to your heart in the middle of your chest, where your heart power resides. Compassion, love, understanding. And from your center and from your heart, connecting with that part of you which may have contact with something larger than yourself. Connecting with that from your core and your heart, with the part of you that connects with something larger than yourself. From that part of you, opening your awareness, what is your connection at this moment to something larger than yourself? It could be spiritual, it could be humanity, your highest values. Now with more of an awareness of yourself in this present moment, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, from your center and from your heart, take a full deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. With a deeper awareness of yourself in this present moment, from your center and from your heart, keeping your eyes closed, become aware of your surroundings, placing yourself in a context. Cultivating a deeper level of listening through sensing in all directions. Registering sounds, smells, objects. What does the silence sound like? With more of an awareness of yourself and your surroundings in this present moment, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And with more of an awareness of yourself and your surroundings in this present moment, from your center and from your heart, keeping your eyes closed, become aware of those sharing this meditation with you. Various parts of North America, Europe, perhaps other parts of the world. What's your capacity at this moment with your presence and your awareness from your center and from your heart with respect and honor to connect with the personal power, the center and the heart of those in this circle? Allowing energy to flow, and emotions to flow. How might you be influencing the others in this circle, and how might they be influencing you? With more of an awareness of yourself, your surroundings, and others, and those in this circle, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Building on this present moment from your center and from your heart, with more of an awareness of yourself, your surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, become aware of all human beings, beginning with those human beings that you would label loved ones. Who arises in your heart? What faces do you see when you consider the human beings that you would label loved ones? Groups of people, individuals. Imagine a natural habit of always connecting from your personal power and heart with their personal power and heart. And feel in your core, in your battery, the energy, and also in your heart. Do these loved ones that come into your heart as you connect with them inspire compassion and action? And notice. From your center and from your heart, becoming aware of those human beings that you would label stranger. Be curious. Who arises in your heart? Maybe you see faces, maybe you see groups of people. Could be a neighbor, could be someone you passed on the street, someone you saw in a picture on a newspaper, someone experiencing the fires in California at this moment. Who knows? And can you connect with them from your personal power and your heart and see what arises in you of compassion and action? Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of those human beings that you would label adversary. Who arises in your heart? How does that influence your level of open-heartedness, your level of presence? Can you connect with them, or how do you connect with them from your personal power and their heart? And your personal power, your heart, and their personal power and their heart. Might there be a spontaneous arisal of compassion and action for them? No need, just curious. Be curious. Now, with more of an awareness of yourself, your surroundings, those in this meditation circle, and all human beings, regardless of how you label them, as loved one, stranger, or adversary, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in through your nose, and out through your mouth. Imagine taking all of these human beings into your heart at this moment. And as you hold them there, considering for yourself, just the question, imagine, what would revive the global heart? What would that look like? What would that feel like? How would we be relationally? How would we be in our emotions? How would the planet itself be? And as you feel that in your heart, notice that you also have all the human family in your heart. And hold that all in your heart. Imagine. And take a moment to notice your state of being right now, what you've cultivated in this practice up to this point. Register it in a sense of holding on to. Maybe you feel more expanded, more present, more energized, more connected. Take that into your nervous system. Take that into your cells. See if you can maintain that. Imagine if this is a practice. Imagine getting to the point where this has become the new habit, that you can actually walk the world in this state of being. And with the whole human family in your heart, now bringing your awareness back to those in this meditation circle, bringing the human family with you as we sit in circle and share this experience. Each of us holding the whole human family. And with gratitude for those in this circle, now taking those in this circle into your heart, as you bring your focus back to your surroundings, bringing the human family and those in this meditation circle with you into your surroundings. And bringing your surroundings into your heart as you bring your awareness back to yourself. And just imagine connecting with yourself from your personal power in your heart. Maybe that instigates spontaneous compassion for yourself. Noticing how open your heart is now, how ignited it might be. Checking in with your core to see if your battery is more charged or less charged. Taking the experience the effects of this practice into your heart and your core. And as a way to close this practice, let's all take one final deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. When you're ready, slowly opening your eyes, shake your body, stretch a little bit, look around. So we started with a motivation, we did our practice, and now we have a chance to reflect. Anybody want to jump in and unmute and share any reflections on what I said, any noticings from this practice?
Joe, I'll say something. With the word imagine that you introduced today, and especially during our practice, I had this vision of that area in Central Park called Strawberry Fields that's dedicated to John Lennon. And there's a big stone carving, kind of like what's behind you in the background. And there's the word imagine. And people come and drop flowers on the word imagine. And I felt like that's what we were doing today.
Thank you. Jean, I want to thank you because there isn't any greater gift than bringing John Lennon into our practice. So thank
Agree.
you for that.
Agree. Thank you.
That's my truth. Some of you might have a different truth. That's my truth.
Mine too.
Joe, when you spoke at the beginning about how we're wired and our brains, you know, our brain connection to our heart, and in my work with addiction and working with folks that are in addiction, I constantly remind them that that our brains evolve in response to the environment that it's exposed to. And so as we expose our brains to a heart-led environment, it does rewire in a way that supports a heart-led environment. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. That's going to give me some creative little imagination sparks of the heart, like reaching up and working things in the brain. That's very evocative.
You're welcome.
I just want to say that what I love about what you say, Keith, is that it brings us back to this idea of we have power. There's a lot we may not have a lot of power over. We feel powerless, but what you're talking to is we have the power to at least rewire our own viewpoints and habits and patterns. And so where can we reclaim our power? It's practice.
It's how I, if I'm able to, it's how I guide folks from a place of victimhood to a place of empowerment or possibility. Oh, I can change, I can transform.
Thank you. Come on, guys, jump in.
I could add, oh, do you want to go, Amelia? Okay.
It's okay, you go ahead.
I shared with Jean and Bob, who came for a visit in our garden, a very thoughtful comment by a professional musician whose name is Daryl Davis. Some of you may know his work. He's spent 36 years, thank you, George, 36 years engaging with white supremacists. It's absolutely an astonishing person. And what he did in the class I attended was talk about a cycle that is essentially built, that starts with ignorance. And when you don't know something, then you have fear. And fear leads to anger, and anger to violence. And Jean Fitzpatrick in the garden said, isn't that what we're experiencing right now? And when Daryl gave his lecture, I sent that same question and he said, yes. And so the reason I'm bringing him up is he made a wonderful point about leopards and tigers being born with spots and stripes, but that human beings are not. And so I'm holding that memory in my heart. It speaks to Joe's point about transformation. We don't have the stripes, we don't have the spots. And so what Daryl is engaging in, and if you Google him, you will be able to see him engaging with the Grand Wizard in Charlottesville and becoming the surrogate father to his fiancée at their wedding. And as he said, it's a long journey. It doesn't happen overnight, but boy, does he have the tenacity and the humility. Wait till you meet him. George, do you want to say anything about him?
I want to, no, I actually think there's other people who want to share. So I want to, if it's okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah. But thank you. It's very powerful what you bring up. And that it just shows that, again, one person can make a difference.
Thanks. I'm sorry for
Thank
taking
you.
so long.
No need to be sorry. Just thank you. Amelia, did you want to say something?
I was just playing off Jean. I just noticed how just the word imagine shifted my whole space. And I liked thinking of myself as a 13-year-old in Calgary, Canada, sort of receiving this gift of a friendship out in the world. But just the magic of the word imagine just hit me and expanded me immediately. So thank you for the magic word.
Thank you.
I have something quick to say.
Sure.
First time we're here. It's interesting because as I joined and as we were doing the meditation, I was thinking about whose heart I can awaken and revive and all the stuff. And then I realized that I have to start with my own heart. There are parts of my heart that I need to be reviving before I can heal or revive or shift anything else in the world. So it starts here.
Wise woman.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Kristen from Windsor, Canada. I was really lucky this morning that when I awoke, I found a tiny baby snail crawling on my clock. And he must have come in from the rose that I snipped the day before. So for me, what someone had just mentioned about magic and intention, for me, that resonated this morning right when I woke up, and I thought, wow, what can I do for, what is the snail trying to bring me? What message in this connection in nature, compassion for myself to slow down, the sacred spiral. So everything, the intention today that you brought and everyone's wisdom, I just feel that it's resonating very strongly, and I want to thank everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Kristen. And Bhaskar, it looked like you wanted to say something, but we got to sum up in a second. Is anything, any words you want to say?
Yeah, just to express that your guidance reminded me of this ancient insight that the mind is brilliant like the sun, but the heart is like a galaxy. So just tapping into the heart intelligence, that is so beautiful. And thank you for guiding us there.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you for all your wisdom. Thank you for all your thoughts. Thank you for everything you're bringing in. Barbara, thank you for what you brought in as well. So we started with a motivation. We did our practice. We had a chance to reflect, and I would like to dedicate the energies just for all of us to just think this creative energy we've just created, where can we direct it? Where can it be a best of use? And that's for you to decide what arises in your heart. Who needs that at this moment? Imagining all of the, not only trees and human beings, but all of the animals and insects in California and the West Coast, or anywhere else where there are fires, the hurricanes that are coming, people who are preparing for that, people who are trying to get their voice expressed, may they be heard and may they be understood. May those who are struggling with fire and hurricane be protected and well. Maybe people you might know who could use some of this energy, groups and organizations that could use this energy. And as always, may all beings on this planet have enough fresh water to drink and food to eat. And may all governments and leaders govern from a place of wisdom as opposed to fear and greed. Well, thank you all. It's, as I always say, it's a deep pleasure to see you. Keep coming back. Think of a couple of people that you might want to introduce to this. We've got a couple of events, just so you know. Check the respectfulconfrontation.com website. We've got a weekend workshop coming up of Respectful Confrontation in October. If you're interested in the work, please sign up. You can do it anywhere in the world since it's online. We're going to be offering stress reduction sessions in the next, leading up to the United States presidential election. We want to offer that to help people keep their nervous systems regulated. So you might want to check that out. And there are other beautiful things that we're doing. I'm actually, well, I don't have the information for that, but okay. But check the website. All right, take care, everyone.
Bye.